So, hello, Diego. It's great to
Hi.
see you. And I want to first of all start by thanking you for taking the time to speak with me like this about the Dialogue of Self-Liberation live program and what your experience has been and is of working with the principles. So thank you very much. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much. And thank you and Peter for putting this program together. That I think it has a great value for all of us that we are sometimes struggling and how to move on from sometimes from things in life that sometimes you get stuck. So
Yes,
thank you so much.
you're very, very welcome. It's a pleasure to share the information with you, Diego. So I'd like to start off by asking you the question, before you were introduced to the Dialogue of Self-Liberation, what were without going into any details, what were the challenges that you'd been experiencing in the past that caused you to feel interested in taking a look at what TDSL is and what it does?
Mainly was focused on behaviors, or I will say automatic responses that any person has, that I wasn't much happy about them, but I didn't know how to manage them. So I could diagnose that something was not performing as I wanted to, and I can track them even to certain situations in my past and while I was growing up that form my character and to act in some specific way. But I didn't know how to manage, how to change them, how to recognize and trying to make them different. So basically, that was my main interesting of concern when I saw the advertisement for this program, and when I found out was okay, this is something I can use, and this is sounds just like what I need. So and it was.
Thank you very much. So what was your experience like of the live program? Did you find the material clearly presented and practical?
Yes, the material is a very good combination of theory from one side and practical applications through visualizations and recordings of going through and certain discipline to do it every day and trying to get to the next conversation when you discuss all of this. So I think it was this combination of three things that really help a lot in to have this PDF with all the theory behind, very good aligned and with a clear sense of path between every session, plus the visualization and the final discussion when you everything that maybe you have doubts, you can discuss it with the team and whoever in the group of the people that is in there in the session, and help you maybe identify things that you just pass out or you didn't pay much attention and that are important. So I think that the combination of these three things is the right way to how to approach this, and it's effective because it's just we're talking about 5 weeks. It's not much, and the changes that you can see is a lot.
That's great news, Diego. Thank you. Did you feel that working in the Zoom calls with other people, did you find that a supportive experience? What was
Yes.
the experience like of being involved in this this process with other people?
I think this is very important because when you're with somebody else, the disposition that you want to bring is too open. So, but you're not open so many details, so it's not uncomfortable, but it's just kind of sharing. And the other person that is there, or how many people are in that group, in that session, are sharing as well their experiences and sharing as well their concerns. Sometimes maybe one of those can bring something that you didn't identify as an issue or something like that of you, but when the other person speaks it, you realize, oh, maybe I have some of this as well. So it's something that helps you open up more your conscience about it. And of course, the support from you and Peter that make a great team in displaying all this and trying to get the attention of the group and trying to lead into certain points. It's just, I think, it's a big part of the program, those sessions. I imagine that you and Peter should be maybe exhausted after so many times and discussing these terms.
You know, this is an interesting fact for me, Diego, is that I've been sharing this information with people for the last, it'll be coming up to, actually, I worked this out the other day with Peter, it's coming up to 17 years in January. And I've never, ever gotten bored of this, because it's one of those things that the more I've looked into this, the more I've explored this through my work with individual clients, the more I've realized there's more depth to this. And I believe that the study of any discipline or any particular philosophical framework or methodology, that the more we look into the thing, the more we realize there is of value to learn. There's more there to discover the more we look. And I've definitely found that with this. So I've never gotten bored with it, and I've never gotten exhausted by this either. Quite the opposite with myself and Peter. There's a very genuine enthusiasm that we both feel for this work. Yeah, I really bounce back and forth with Peter in this wonderfully enthusiastic way. So it's a real pleasure for me to share the information alongside Peter with everybody on the live program. Because yeah, we've got a real good synergy, myself and Peter. It's a pleasure to work with him in this way. So could I ask you please, during the live program, bearing in mind it's a 5-week course, and at what point during the 5 weeks did you begin to think, hey, wait a minute, there's something of value here?
Well, I think that it's 5-week program, and from the first time you start to see, okay, this is interesting. But I think that in the second session was say, oh, okay, maybe this is going like this, and it's really interesting how it's gonna be developed. And you're always getting into maybe what's gonna be the next session. What's gonna be the next session? And from the second time, I was just completely on board on it.
Thank you very much. Could I ask you now, in your relationships with other people, have you noticed any transformations or shifts in the way you communicate with other people, and also how other people maybe respond to you as a result of engaging with this practice?
Yes, as you say, it's a practice, and the practice you start little by little getting into a more mastery of it. And in my case, I've been much of the change, maybe from time to time, is more of the conscious about say, hey, maybe I'm doing acting like this, acting like this, and realizing, okay, so this is part of the things I want to change. It's like we discussed that this is a practice that is becoming like a martial art training. So you start to avoiding punches or something like that. For me, for myself, I'm just finished the training just a couple of 1 week ago, something like that. So I'm still receiving some punches, but I'm realizing, okay, he's coming. So I'm in this process of getting myself a little more loose every time and realizing it's just practice. So we will continue.
One of the principles that we emphasize, excuse me, a little later on in the course is the importance of self-forgiveness. How do you relate to this and forgiveness in general?
Yes, well, the training says, and the course is something, this sentence that is very interesting. Maybe you can help me to remember very well. This the forgiveness, forgive the forgiver, or something like that was.
Forgiveness frees the soul of the forgiver.
Frees the soul of the forgiver, and it makes complete sense to me. It's something that is liberating. And maybe I didn't in the past take too much attention of the forgiver of myself, to say, okay, and maybe I was hard on me in certain situations, to say, oh, okay, I did this, or I was guilty of this. And my communication was self-reinforcement in those negative patterns of something that was many time ago, and there's no sense. I mean, anything in the past is good to learn from. This is a good experience, a good teacher, but it's not necessary to need to suffer eternally in eternity for something that maybe you didn't do so well. So that part, I think, is a big part of this program, and how to forgive yourself and let go of those self-negative communications towards yourself.
You know, just to clarify, the words forgiveness frees the soul of the forgiver are not mine. They were said to me by a very dear friend, my friend Simon, and I respect and love Simon very, very much. He's a very quiet and humble soul, but he's also very, very wise and very deep. And when he speaks, I listen very clearly, very attentively. So also another question for you is that we also emphasize self-compassion, and therefore by developing more genuine self-compassion, we therefore are more capable of expressing compassion outwardly in our dealings with others and the world in general. What are your feelings about the value of self-compassion, please?
For me, one point in the course that was like a spark that changed something in your mind was the idea of this story that Peter told us about this monk in the Easter that say every pot spill what is inside. So I think that that image makes me complete sense, and to understand, yes. So everyone else, and myself, of course, our reaction is just part of what we have inside. So when we see a person that maybe is a complicated person, let's say in the job or in any other aspect of your life, that person inside is suffering as well for something, for any reason that you don't know, you just don't know. And that kind of reactions is just what you have and what you have experienced in all your different contexts. So the compassion is have to begin with yourself. So you have to understand that you're human here, that you're learning. You've come to this life to learn and develop. And of course, you make some mistakes, but as well, you make a lot of good things. You have to learn from those mistakes in a kinder way, get out, extract the real learning, and continue move on. In that compassive way to yourself makes you change what is inside you. And when you're change what is inside you, you're spilling just a different content to the world. So, I mean, if we all do that, this will be a completely different world.
I completely agree with you, Diego. This is one of our goals in sharing this information with people, is to help people to understand how to develop more self-compassion and therefore to spread more compassion in the world. So could I ask you, please, filtered through the lens of your unique experience as an individual, what is the dialogue of self-liberation? What is it good for? What does it do?
Oh, how do I say? Well, I will start to say it's a practical way. It's not just theory. It's not. It's a practical way. It's just practical way of stopping the negative incomes inputs that you're putting into yourself. For me, I was thinking after the course, one example that may explain it. For me, it's like when you're, I don't know, in your house, in your basement, and you have a water leak, and there's a pipe leaking, and you're having, you start to flood it in, and you're there, and of course you want to take the water out, but the first things you need to do is just stop the leak, stop more water coming into. But when you stop that, you're able to work around of the water and take it out and continue the cleaning and putting everything in order. But the first thing you need is just to stop what is coming. And maybe we don't realize that we are just getting a lot of self-reinforcement negative thoughts that are coming into us, that obviously all of us want to develop and grow and change and be better, but if we have those coming in, it's just difficult. So for me, the dialogue of self-liberation is just help you that how to stop the leak, to stop these negative inputs, and give you the time and space to be present and work around your place, yourself, or whatever you want to call it.
That makes me wonder whether a way of describing the dialogue of self-liberation is mental plumbing.
Yeah.
Fixing the leaks.
Yeah.
Could I ask you now, please, how would you describe or explain the benefits of TDSL to a friend?
Oh, I will say it. Just basically told my experience. I think the best way of, because every one of us has a different perspective of what the program could be or what is meant for us. So I think the best way to describe it to myself is to explain, okay, I was in this situation. This program works basically like this and has helped me in this way. And as I say through the interview, I was having these automatic responses, and I still have some of those, but this gives me a good way of how to stop them, how to manage them, and let myself to be in the present, and try to just let the life continue. Don't bring this all burdens to the present. They have their way now. It's part of your life in the past, but you don't need to continue to carry them. So I think I will, depending on the friend, I will explain it like this, just how was my experience and why I recommend it.
That's great. Thank you, Diego. And finally, one last question. What would you say to somebody who was considering joining the live program, but maybe wasn't quite yet sure? What would your words to such a person be, please?
Oh, I think that's a tricky one, because for all these kind of programs, I think you need to have the will of doing it. So I will not try to convince anyone to say, hey, just go for it and you have to do it. But maybe I will ask them some questions. Have you feel this way? Have you noticed something like this in your past? I will try to reflect and bring some questions that make that person just a little bit aware of maybe something that maybe he's not seeing completely as a problem, but maybe with this type of question is try to realize, hey, maybe yeah, something is something is here, and I will say, okay, this program helped you for it, and it's really good. It's very effective, and you can change this with the practice, and if you want it, because it's basically a lot of will. You need to have to take this path, and you want to just practice. It's a practice for life, and you need to have the the will to go for it, to try to change it.
It's really lovely the way you describe the dialogue of self-liberation as a practice for life.
Yeah.
I absolutely feel the same way. I feel that when we've understood the principle and we begin to work with it practically, it becomes a life skill.
Yeah.
Because the principle itself makes so much sense. To not pay attention to this simply doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Do you see? So yeah, it's like riding a bicycle. It takes a while to learn how to ride the bicycle, but then after a while, you don't have to think about riding the bicycle. You just think about where you want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Diego, lots of love to you, my friend. Thank you so much for being a part of this and for sharing your thoughts and your experiences in this way. And please go
thank
ahead.
you. Yes, thank you so much, you and Peter, for just give us this tool. I mean, you're giving us your experience and all the learn that you have over time with such care and kindness that you transmitting something that you want to take it. So it's just you actually, we're in a Zoom call and we are very far away from.
Yeah, where are you, please? Could you remind me?
I'm in Chile, but in the south part of Chile. So I'm basically the last city before Antarctica, a city called Punta Arenas. So over 15,000 kilometers away, but you're still transmitting a lot of energy, a lot of love, and this program is really good. So I will just recommend to anyone that maybe has some doubt, just give it a try. Go for it. I mean, it's really worth it.
Wonderful, Diego. Thank you so much. Yeah, take
Thank
very
you.
good care. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and yeah, lots of love to you. We'll be in touch soon.
Yes. Thank you, Chico.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.